in Las Vegas at the annual NAB show, and we are powered by LiveView. I'm so excited actually to just jump right in, because really it's all about the content, right? Let's face it, people are hungry for content. And I am thrilled. Okay, so here we are. I'm joined with Ben Ratner, and he is the live streaming technical producer at Roker Media. Okay, and then next we have the awesome, very energetic VP of LiveView Marketing, and Claudia Barbiero. I was nailing it before the live.
You were.
I was.
To be fair, you were.
Okay. So Claudia and Ben work hand in hand to deliver live streaming content. And let's go for it. High level, tell me, Ben, what is Roker Media?
Cool. So Roker Media is a subsidiary of Al Roker Entertainment, which traditionally does linear TV. They've been doing it for decades now. But Al is really interested in kind of what's next. This is TV's Al Roker, Weatherman Today show. And he likes to figure out what the next thing in media is. And he's latched onto live streaming. He latched onto this about a year ago before anyone was even taking it super seriously. So basically, he created a production company that does live streaming productions for social media. So that's Facebook, that's Twitter, Periscope, YouNow, YouTube. Wherever there's a platform and an audience, we look to create content.
Wow, and we don't want to get too technical here, because it's fun to talk. We want to talk about engagement. We want to talk about viewership, and that's where you come in. But it would be remiss of me, and I know we can't really see it, or can we go to a wide shot here? We're talking about mobile-friendly live streaming capabilities from LiveView, okay?
Right.
And it's happening literally, guys, in a backpack.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Claudia, why don't you talk to us a little bit about this fun system you have?
You know, and actually it's probably pretty pertinent because it's how we're streaming this show right now. We're streaming the show with these remote units. I've been on Be Terrific before, and we've taken the audience through it, but it's always good to remind folks that every time we're cutting to different parts of the convention center, it's because these camera guys are able to walk around and roam around the halls, not tethered by a cable. And the only way is because this unit is allowing them to stream back here to the studio and be able to go live. One of the cool things is that we can power that. You can go live from anywhere. But these days, just like what's going on with Roker Media, is that it's all going to a new platform. Previously, everyone could whip out their cell phone, but you're limited with that. You're limited with the bandwidth. So if there's cellular congestion or there's a drop in the Wi-Fi, that stream goes out.
In fact, you know, that was one of our biggest problems when the production company first started. Before I was even there, they were the first to do live streaming shows to Meerkat, which made Meerkat rest in peace.
A moment.
But, you know, we were limited to a single camera. They were trying to do as much production as they could, but, you know, you were limited to your cell phone's optics, your cell phone service, your cell phone's microphone. Some of that they were able to work with, but it took until about a year ago for Facebook to open up to...
they opened up their API.
They opened up their API,
yes,
so we can use professional streaming equipment.
Exactly.
And then the rest of them have followed. YouTube was doing it a little while earlier. YouNow was also. But when Facebook opened up to the general public with their API, that was when live streaming really took off.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. It is about...
Poor nail.
But they recognized pretty quickly that any brand, anyone that needed to represent their content well, needed to have good quality content on that live stream. The only way to do that was to open up the API. We're partners with Facebook, and early on developed with them to create an easy way to integrate these types of more broadcast level equipment into the same sort of user interface that people were used to with their iPhone and the app. But what these bigger units are, we've actually taken and put into smaller sizes to really help.
And foam sizes.
All right, those are fake.
I think that's what you call a game changer.
Yeah, those are fake. But in order to enable people to really run and gun, But by being able to take HDMI in or SDI in, now all of a sudden you have what we call good glass. You've got a decent camera, you've got better microphone, better lighting, and anyone who thinks their brand shouldn't be represented just as well in their social media stream as any other media outlet is crazy today.
So for me, I do a lot of multi-camera production. We don't do very much single-camera production because we want to bring in, multiple cameras, multiple elements. We want to really keep you tied into the action. So we hook up to other production systems like TriCaster, like Blackmagic, whatever we have available to us, and that's how we can get multiple cameras, graphics, roll-ins, all this traditional television elements into a modern-day platform.
All with this. I mean, we don't have to have a microwave truck anymore.
Exactly.
It's that mobile friendly.
Or a very expensive internet drop. So it provides the ability for more agile production studios to be broadcasting from anywhere, in addition to being able to take that camera then and go out into the field. And I think that's really important now for the new audiences that are watching television in different places. It's super important on the social media side because people expect that same quality that they're used to getting on television, but now it's just amped up, for a variety of reasons.
You saw this with podcasts early on when podcasts kind of started to take off. There were some that had really great audio quality, people who had real radio backgrounds, and then there were some that were just not great audio quality, not great production, no sound effects, no nothing. And all of the popular podcasts are the one that had really good quality. And that's something we saw specifically with the transition to live video. Live video was cool when Facebook and some of these opened up to just doing it from your phone. But when you started to be able to use the API, use RTMP, and get in directly into the system with really good quality audio and video, that's when people really started to think, this thing has a future.
Yeah, but it's not just that. But think about it this way. It has a future. It can compete. But there's a whole nother element now in that it's not passive. It's not someone sitting at home on their couch, making an appointment and watching it. It's people while they're mobile, watching it on their phone, and now being able to interact live with what's happening.
I love it. I love all of this. This is so much fun as content creators everywhere. I mean, everyone should, this booth is buzzing because of the urgency to get on board. And I think Roker Media is doing a fabulous job. And let's talk a little bit more about the Never Settle show and what's it about, why people should watch it, and how the interactive element really works for the show.
Sure. So the Never Settle show is hosted by Mario Armstrong. Can't even say words. Mario Armstrong. We're live.
Live element.
And there's a reason I'm not in front of the camera normally. So he's the digital lifestyle guy over at the Today Show, where he does know Al Roker from there. And he's been working to create a talk show for years about never settling, being the best you can be, achieving all your goals. He was shopping it around to a bunch of networks, cable channels. He wasn't really able to get a platform for it there. But basically, within the last year, live streaming became a very viable place to do this. So what we did is we seeked out an existing audience, because it's hard to build an audience from scratch, but we teamed up with Entrepreneur Magazine, which has millions of followers on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube. So immediately we had an audience that we couldn't have days, months, weeks, years earlier. So that helped to get the audience to fuel the interaction. And then, it's a very interactive talk show. From the moment he decided to start producing this show the way we did when he hooked up with Roker Media, he wanted it to be fan-sourced. He live-streamed production meetings. He asked people for feedback. He did some test shows. He did all of these things to get the audience's direct feedback. And every segment on the show, every guest on the show, somehow was encouraged by the audience themselves.
So that's just totally unique. I mean, if you think about it, it truly is the future of interactive programming.
Yeah, and for years...
What does interactive, I know it sounds simple, but what is interactive? Like someone typing a comment? Is it someone like...
So I would say there's two kinds of interactivity. There's passive interactivity where the audience could be interacting with, sending tweets at the show, but them not acknowledging them, not even favoriting them on Twitter, not replying, maybe putting them on screen if you're lucky. The kind of interaction we do is highly, highly interactive, where we have a social team of 4 or 5 people during this hour-long show, choosing good comments, finding trends, putting comments on screen, and actually Mario responds to these comments live on the air. Sometimes a segment will change during a segment because the fans said, I don't want that, or, oh, I really want that. So it's really taking what the audience wants and turning it into the show that they want to see.
Honestly, that's why we were behind it 1,000%.
That's a lot of percent.
Yeah, it's yes. No, I mean this is the future, and we totally want to embrace it. It is positive, but it's also just a great direction for what's happening in our industry. So being able to take what would be traditional broadcast technology and being able to use that to empower this type of new future of programming was right up our alley, and something we absolutely wanted to get involved with and help support.
And it comes in a backpack. Like, that's what's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
it is. It really is that neat.
You know, Ben can talk a little bit about where they produce the show and how that is
so
produced.
one of the ways early on in the production, Mario said, where do you want this show to happen? Do you want it to happen in a traditional TV studio or somewhere else? He was not asking me this question. He was asking the audience this question. I probably would have...
Does he look into the camera? I'm sorry, I can't wait to watch this show, but almost like I might sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but does he look into the camera? Is he that engaged? Is he pointing out people by their handles?
That's exactly what happens. So we do have a social media team. We have Shai and Evie who run are kind of the faces of social media. But Mario himself, we have a Steadicam, which is his main camera for the show, where he's going all over this studio. Again, makes life super easy for us.
We'll get to the challenges later.
But on his Steadicam, we have a program monitor for him and a teleprompter that we can put comments into. So as we put things on the screen, he can react to them in real time. He did a poll on last week's show where he literally said, he's a big sneakerhead, loves shoes. What kind of shoes should I wear? And we do a little 3-minute pre-show while we're waiting for people to get in. They chose the show live on the air, and then they were making comments on his shoes, and he was reacting to them in real time, literally looking right into the camera and directly engaging with fans. It's a kind of interaction you simply don't see on TV. You might see 1 or 2 comments occasionally. Yeah. You might see, it pop up on screen, but he really, really is the master of interaction.
And that's the beauty of live. That can only happen in a live environment. It's fun to watch after the fact, but that excitement and that being part of the action while it's happening is priceless.
Yeah, but let me get back to how we chose the studio. The fans said, when he asked the fans, they said, we wanted it in a non-traditional broadcasting location. So we had to schlep in an entire production studio.
So it's basically like, pick the craziest location, and we're going to try and do our best to stream from there.
Which planet would you like to do the Never Settle show on? Luckily, they chose Earth. So we had to bring in a full studio crew, full studio equipment. And one of my biggest concerns, and the reason I'm happy that we were able to work with LiveView is, we're on, the far end of New York City. Who knows what service is like? Who knows what Ethernet is like? We're working at a private company called Canary. They do security cameras. Really great company. Thrilled they're giving us the location. But I have so much going on from a technical perspective. There's so many things that can go wrong. If I have the reliability of my stream just working, that makes me really happy.
I mean, I'll even tell you, even here at this trade show, you think it's a constant. What's working one day, you walk in the next day, and it's not. And so I'm happy we're using our own equipment because of that reliability. The same thing.
Having 6 cell phone signals, 6 or 8, and having 2 Ethernets, with everything else going on, especially, we're a big production crew, but we're not nearly as big as you would see on a normal television show. So, as one of the few technical people in the room, not having to deal with internet and having the plastic versions and not the foam versions of these, it's really takes a lot off of my plate when we're doing the production.
So what is sort of like an average conversation between the two of you? Like,
hey, how's it going?
Like, in
Can I
terms
get
of,
more stuff? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But is it just sort of like, you have an idea, or you have an idea, how can we execute, or what?
So
what is that
how do you
dynamic?
join us?
Yeah, so it's both. A lot of times we can come in through the production crew and the technical side. We could be lucky and have someone like Ben who's very experienced with our technology and knows what our capabilities are and says, yes, I want it and I need it. In this case with Mario, he is an influencer, and a lot of our technology is skewing now towards live online streaming. So we actually go out and talk to influencers and people who are out there to get their feedback. What do you want to see in a solution? What would empower you and help you to do more? Meaning, what can we take off your brain so that you can focus more on content? And, you know, in working with Mario and some of the events that he would do, going out to some of the killer industry events and CES and all that stuff, we really, when he was putting the show together, we really started brainstorming because he was familiar, but he's in front of the camera, so he doesn't really know what the capabilities are. And so here's the beauty part about blending technical and creative, in that when you can say to him, hey, you know when you're in your makeup chair and you're doing your Periscope before you go on, wouldn't you want that to be a little bit better quality? Here now you can. Oh, and by the way, now you can go run up and down the street 10 times. So it's...
And he does.
And he does, yeah. But it's, because he is a character. I mean, he is a phenomenal, just great idea person, great creative energy. So it's a little bit of back and forth. I can explain, this is what some of our other customers are doing to create that more dynamic, engaging content, because you do produce content differently for online versus television.
Well, that's
Let's
something,
talk about that.
very
Yeah.
specifically, yeah. I mean, first of all, costs, I mean, the quality show we put on, you know, it's matching things that you would see on broadcast television, just at a fraction of the price. We're using a service called VidPresso for our graphics and comments. These are things that would normally require full systems, and it's running off of my laptop and Google Chrome. You know, the cameras we're using...
Trade secret alert, trade secret alert.
And another service we're using actually in conjunction with LiveView is called Switchboard Live. And what we do with them is we send our LiveView signal through Switchboard, and I believe there's some sort of partnership there. Yep. And we send to multiple platforms. So we're sending to Periscope, we're sending to Facebook, and I'm actually sending a backup to YouTube as well, you know, just in case, just to have, you know, if I need to pull something down quickly, I have it available. And what this means is...
But it's also going to Entrepreneur Magazine.
And it's going to Entrepreneur Magazine. You can go to multiple Facebook
It's a great
pages.
point. Syndication and the ability to syndicate your content and reach multiple people in different places is another beautiful part about online streaming that you couldn't afford to do. And from a distribution standpoint.
A big issue with this, in general, is bandwidth constraints. Right. So, you know, if I were streaming from a TriCaster, while the TriCaster is capable of doing 2 simultaneous streams, you know, that's taking, you know, a little bit of power out of the TriCaster every time. And I want to stream to way more than 2 places. So using a service like Switchboard in conjunction with LiveView, I'm able to get it to everywhere I need to with the power of a single stream. You know, these things work through cell phone bonding and Ethernet. I'm not using any more than the single stream that I was initially sending out to send out to multiple platforms. So technology has finally, in the last 2-3 years, has really caught up with what it takes to do this kind of project. Everything really finally came together.
But affordably now, too.
But affordably, yeah.
That's why your booth is buzzing. It's truly, like, when you're walking around NAB here, like, there's activity happening here. Well, who's coming here?
We're also in a variety of places because of that. So a lot of the traditional core broadcasters are coming here, learning about our latest and greatest technology. Our
so yeah, when I was interning as a couple years ago in college, I worked at News 12 Long Island, and they were using things like this at News 12, and I was like, oh, I thought you needed satellite. I thought you needed giant trucks, but no, you take a backpack, you go, you call it a day. You know, at a fraction of the price.
Right. But we're also in the other hall. There's, for people who have never been here, it's every single hall in the Las Vegas Convention Center. It's a huge show.
It's like Disney for nerds.
But we have another setup there where we're specifically talking about live streaming to social media. There's actually a dedicated Facebook Live pavilion here that's for Facebook Live partners, and where they're showing how with essentially a very decent camera, but an inexpensive camera, a decent mic, an HDMI cable, and a solo unit, our small one here, you're able to go live. And we're actually broadcasting live from there with 2 cellular connections, and that's it. But we can actually show people that, yes, you would think I need a huge crew, or I need someone who has a broadcast engineering degree, or I need super expensive broadcast level camera equipment. I can say no for essentially $3,000 or so. You can have a kit and you could be going live, and it's easy. And you can, like you're saying, rival what you see on television.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know how, like, networking, like, you have to buy airtime or space? Do you think that will ever happen in terms of, like, I can buy that backpack and start streaming high-quality stuff tomorrow, but I don't have to buy any airtime, per
So,
se.
I mean,
like,
that's what's
work?
great about social, and I always go to Facebook first as an example, just because you have the world's population on Facebook. Exactly. So, you know, you're going to see, you know, you start with traditional broadcast, you had your 3-4 channels. I didn't exist at that point in time. I was alive for the early cable. But you started to see niche content going out to specific people who had specific interests. That's exactly what you see with Facebook Live programming. So you have every one of these Facebook pages is a vertical, is a channel. So do you like entrepreneurial ideas? Entrepreneur Magazine. Do you like sports? Follow the NFL. Do you like Oprah?
But we're not
Follow
paying.
Oprah.
Are we paying for Roker Media yet, or no?
No, right now it's going out free. We have
it's
wonderful,
fabulous.
yeah.
You
in
should
fact-
check it out.
Fabulous.
They've got some killer programs
Yep,
on
and the
their
Never
Facebook
Settle
page.
show specifically is sponsored by FedEx Office, who have been incredible, and they align with Mario and his show's, ideals. We are able to integrate them into the programming.
Talk to me about that, like sort of the interactive advertising, perhaps, aspect of this concept and content creation.
Yeah, I love that we're working with FedEx Office, and they're giving us a lot of leeway kind of on how we do our reads and promotions on the show. One of the things that Mario talks about is getting your stuff in front of people. Is it a pamphlet? Is it a resume? When he was going through the process of pitching the show around, he created these top quality kind of pamphlets, research, all this stuff. And he's showing off how he did it using FedEx Office stuff during the show. And these are things that don't just translate to the show. This is, I have a new business idea. I have a new program I want to create. And he's able to really integrate that directly into the show. And it's just a natural integration with FedEx Office. I mean, go back to the early days of TV. You've got the, the cigarette guys sponsoring.
Yes.
I don't remember all the names because I wasn't paying attention in mass media class.
But it basically was, if you had the money, it didn't matter what the audience wanted to hear. You were getting fed that message, and that this whole idea now with online and being able to, instead of having be an advertiser, these types of partnerships as opposed to sponsorships allow for an organic blend of the advertiser in with what would mean something to the home audience.
And we don't need to stop the show to do this either. It's the kind of thing where it becomes an integrated segment. FedEx happens to sponsor it, but we're working to really make it work to be content that the audience is going to like, regardless of the fact that it's being sponsored. And that's going to probably be the biggest thing we see in social video over the next couple of years. People are starting to do it more and more. A lot of influencer-driven stuff, a lot of branded
content campaigns.
But also the next generations too are super savvy. They don't want to be told what to buy or what to get. They don't want to be treated that way.
We're not stupid.
No, it's about being authentic and having brands that have an authentic blend or an organic blend with that entertainment outlet. I think that's the wave of the future.
Yep, and something we're really looking into and excited kind of for the development of is, monetization within live streaming. You're kind of, before live streaming, before Facebook, you saw almost more of this because the, some of the other platforms that did streaming or video, they were able to integrate directly into their, their video players, things like that. Monetization, ways to make money, direct purchase. Now you're a little bit at the mercy of the social platforms. So, Facebook just started opening up to like donations. They have some ways to do products sometimes, but you can't click on the screen and buy anything. There's services like Busker that do offer that, but don't have the largest audience out there. So the challenge is figuring out how can you make enough money off of this to make it viable.
But we know we can. As a marketer, I'm excited about it because I know at some point it's going to be huge. Because of the targeting. Just like you were saying, it can be very specific audience, very specific interests, very specific demographics, and I can learn information about them so that I can make my content or my advertising better and more appealing and more effective.
I might not have the most popular opinion on targeted advertising, but I love it as a consumer, not as a marketer, because I understand that these things are free. Facebook is free. Twitter is free. If they're going to be free and they have to be done by ads if they haven't figured out a better way, I at least want these ads to be something that I care about.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not going to repeat which ads I see on my Facebook.
I was going to say there's a lot of shoes on mine.
I learn
a lot of shoes.
I learn a lot about what marketers think I should be
really?
based off of my my ads.
Lesson marketers, be careful.
So, I mean, the passion is like beyond it, or shall I say, is terrific.
Because of the thing,
yeah.
I get it.
She brought it full circle.
Yeah. See what I did there?
Yeah.
What are you working on now to push the envelope or challenge your viewers for the next quarter, or what's going on in the pre-production room and all that stuff?
Sure. So we've got a couple of productions right now that are really keeping us busy, and we kind of have a few different kinds of shows that we do to kind of be in different areas of production, and we have some things in pre-production. So in addition to Mario's show, One of my favorite shows that we do is called Bull TV. It's hosted by Clay Aiken, America's sweetheart, or second place sweetheart, and Carrie Sheffield, who used to be a cable news contributor. And that's basically a morning show for millennials, and we're able to have conversations, long-form conversations, with the interactivity of the comments. And you have Clay Aiken reading your comments.
That's awesome.
We have all of the Claymates who love it, but also, we get legitimate guests. We had one of the vice presidential candidates from, I forget, one of the independent parties.
The one that didn't win.
Well, one of the ones that didn't win. But, we had a huge audience that day because with the power.
What is huge?
Huge. It
question.
depends on what you're looking for. There's I'm not going to give a specific number, but what we really go for is syndication through sharing. So
Okay, make that easy for me to understand
Sure,
in layman's
okay.
terms.
So I'll use Never Settle Show as an example. Never Settle Show, we schedule a post 2 days in advance. So the show goes live in like 24 hours. I need to get back to New York very soon. But already
Call the jet.
But already on Entrepreneur's Facebook page, we have, a link to the show that people can share. So we encourage them to share it out. We basically force our guests to share it out.
Are you teaming up with brands to have giveaways and stuff? Are you in that space?
There are some giveaways on the show, and they also share the show. But the bottom line is the more people that share the show, the bigger your potential audience. So if you start with an audience of, let's say, 1 million people, you can expect, an okay-sized audience. But if you can take that potential audience and get bigger brands to share it, you're talking 10 million people, 20 million people. Mark Zuckerberg does Facebook streams from time to time. Now, I think he knows the guy at the company to be successful with those. But what I notice on those is I don't think they're gating, because Facebook has a gate on the amount of people that see your streams for a bunch of reasons, but largely they want you to ultimately pay for it. But when I look at Mark Zuckerberg's stream, he gets 700, 800,000 shares, and that's where those views are coming from. When you have a friend telling you, this is something I like, you should watch it, it's basically the most basic level of influencer marketing is your friends.
Exactly.
Do you guys share the same, or I'm sure you do, the same analytic tool to measure that? And then are you corresponding with that? Is that a big part of your dynamic?
So it's not part of our solution, but as a
we
marketer,
think heavily about analytics. Luke Watson is my partner in crime over at Roker Labs, and they really specialize in analytics.
So are you in on that combo?
No, it's not part of it, but I'll say it's just even from my own experience, even from what we're doing here, we're syndicating to a couple different destinations, and we are going to be measuring tremendously purely because we like to do this at different shows and events for different audiences. We want to make sure that we're actually...
You want to see how much better my one is than everyone else's?
I think this one, because both of us are on it, is going to be through the roof. But that's what I want to show to my boss anyway.
Hard.
But in all seriousness, again, as a marketer or as a content creator, you thrive by that because it allows you to constantly improve. And that's what makes anything online much more agile than traditional linear television.
Yeah, we're looking at a graph during the show.
You're pivoting during the show.
During the show. We see this going up, and then we see a little bit down.
That's how
we stop what we're doing and we
real-time
change it.
is.
Or we modify it. Yeah, it's that real time. And some of that is from qualitative feedback, which is comments, and some of it is the quantitative. Are we getting thumbs down? Are we getting
What are some thumbs down or segueing into challenges of the live stream? Fun.
Me being on screen is one of the biggest thumbs down.
When you have to come on and say,
this is good.
I mean, is there in the broadcast days, sorry, technical difficulties? Do you have something?
One of the things is productional quality and not having those technical difficulties. If your stream drops, you're going to lose people. On Facebook, you only have a few seconds before your stream goes away altogether. And that is detrimental to your stream. And, FedEx Office is paying us, a good chunk of money to do a reliable show. And again, that's
where we come in, and he's going to wring our neck.
That's why I'm so happy, with using something like LiveView, is that I have the confidence that that stream ain't going down because I know I have the good internet connection. But you know what? If you're here, there's 100,000 people here in the convention center. It's a lot of people using internet. And you know what? There's not a lot of bandwidth. You're probably not going to have the best quality stream in the world if you're just going from a cell phone right here. Okay. So, understanding that you have kind of the tech to do the job is really important. And from a content standpoint, if you promise engagement, you need to return. So if you say, let us see your comments and we'll respond to them, you got to
Gotta
do those
do it.
comments. You got to read them on air. Otherwise, the engagement is just going to take a cliff dive.
So it's like this constant game of like cat and mouse in a way, like what can I do today that I didn't do yesterday, and how to really get that engagement going. And I mean, I'm sure it's so much fun to sit in that room every morning to brainstorm.
Yeah, and another thing, and this isn't a downside thing, but an upside thing is consistent scheduling. Just like traditional TV, even nowadays, when you know something's coming out and you could look forward to something, you're more likely to watch it.
I love it.
That's just how television, radio has worked for the entirety.
We're creatures of nature.
I just
right?
love the fact that I have not had to do any of
A
my key
routine.
messaging because Ben has just hit it. Every single key
But
point.
that is one of our biggest things at Roker Media is kind of taking television, breaking it down for social, but keeping the quality, the consistency, the things people expect to see.
Yeah.
And what's happening is people are liking what we do because it's available. You're reminded that it's there. We take heavy advantage of notifications, and people turn them on. And schedule. We tell them that they want to watch it, and we're really going to them. And we almost create a team with the audience.
But I do think that's why the social platforms are really starting to take over as a destination, because it does enable that. There's so much effort, at least in the past even, going into the production of a live stream. You spend all this time from the technical side, then on creating the content side. It's not only as good as how many people are watching it. So if you don't have the ability to notify, you don't have the ability to constantly really make sure people are prepped and ready to log on and watch, it's a huge waste of time. The other is then while they're there, it only takes seconds for them to tune out.
Yeah.
So there's no patience. It's a very fickle audience.
Yeah, so
and
Facebook-
it's not just millennials. It's me too. Okay.
So it's your fault.
I'm gone. If there's buffering, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to necessarily come back. Yeah.
Well, and just to talk a little more about the production process, basically on linear television, traditional broadcast, you have your tech team, you have your content team. Now, it's the same team. So, specifically at Roker Media, I'm able to answer these questions about content because I work so closely, with our producers. And they're, it's basically, can we do this? How do we do this? Is this something we could do because of something you can do? So, the TriCaster is...
It's a yin and a yang.
Yeah.
I love it.
The TriCaster is what we have powering the show. It's a full, basically, TV studio in a box. And I'm able to use features of that. I let them know things that they can do, and they say, oh, that'll be hilarious if we do it on the air. We sent
we
Mario,
can do it.
And
We
we sent Mario into the rafters of the show to one of the audience TV monitors during our first show. And that was just because I was like, we could pop anything in there, and there's a ladder there. Why don't we have Mario do the show from the sky? So, it's the convergence of technology and content. And I think, what is it? MET is Media Entertainment Technology.
Yes,
That
that's
is
the theme
what,
of the show.
That's what we're going to
It's the
pretend
theme
that
of the
NAB
show.
paid me to say, but they did not.
The Met Effect, yes.
Met Effect.
Yes.
Say it one more time.
Media Entertainment Technology, MET. Let's
you
go,
go.
Mets.
Yeah.
Well, how are we looking, Joyce?
I'm looking
We're
great.
looking
Thank
good?
you.
Having fun?
I haven't looked at the screen.
Yeah,
Oh, no. I've been sideways this whole
I
time.
know. I'm curious, though, like, we love engagement. Engagement makes us, like, it's a, you release endorphins in a weird way, right? Like, ooh, someone likes me. Ooh, heart. Ooh, someone's engaged. Do you think we'll ever get to a moment or a time, maybe with the trend of this, dialing that back more and restricting comments and being a little less engaged?
So-
Do you think that there's value in that?
Are you talking from a content creator's perspective and a platform perspective, or from a user's perspective?
Like live, like turning engagement off. Do you think that would be a pro or a con? Or do you think, I'm just curious, I'm spitballing right now only because sometimes it can get overwhelming and maybe detract from an overall message.
So what I'm hoping that we see a little more of in the future, Twitch does a great job with chat moderation. We did a show called Chef Shock. It was a live 2-hour nightly. We did 15 episodes of this show. And it was basically Food Network star Justin Warner cooking a full meal from beginning to end. Incredibly interactive. He is... check it out. I think we have it on rokerlabs.com/chefshock. Really entertaining. But we actually had chat moderators in the chat, kind of taking out some of the comments that were, not pushing the show in real time. And we're going to see more and more of that. Periscope is starting to do that. They have kind of group moderation where if they see a comment that's a little off color, they're going to ask a couple people in the chat, and then, if it's inappropriate, they're going to say this comment's going away. One of the biggest challenges, live, real time. For every benefit, there is a trillion negatives. So, people could stream something that's not supposed to be streamed. Copyrighted content, inappropriate content.
I mean, but that's been since time memoriam. If I showed the blooper reel of all our customers, it would be ridiculous,
Yeah, so,
New show idea?
Yeah.
So, one of our goals in Roker Media is to bring legitimacy to a medium where, back in the early days of Instagram, I don't want to see what you ate for lunch. That's stupid. But, when you bring...
Great impression.
Yeah, that is me 6 years ago. But if you bring, the high-quality photographers, if you bring the high-quality content to Facebook Live, there's a reason Facebook spent millions and millions of dollars going out to influential organizations, having them produce live content. And they're doing that with video now. They're doing another big roll of video content that they're producing. And you know what? They're showing you this is what this should be. You lose a little bit of control. When you go live, it's just a fact of life. There's things that can go wrong. There's things that shouldn't happen. But if you train your audience, if you start to create tools, then you can have success. YouTube, I think, is a great example of this. Years ago, in the early days of YouTube, it was basically Comedy Central's place where you watch all of their content. But Comedy Central wasn't getting a penny off of that. And that led to the creation of the best content ID system in the world. YouTube will, if they even know that you're thinking about uploading something wrong, it's probably going to get either taken down or they're going to work with your with the people that own the content to actually, make sure they get the money for that content or have some sort of revenue share. So I think with great technology comes great responsibility, but so does innovation. So, it's growing fast. Sometimes the technology hasn't even kept up with the growth to that perspective. But, we work to produce the high quality content that we want people to come to be able to expect.
I think that's great, and I think that's a great note to leave viewers on.
Absolutely.
It's been super exciting to chat with you two about this. Passion Central right here. I love it so much.
I will say, how many more Never Settle shows so people can tune in?
So we got 3 more Neville Settle.
Yeah. Live.
Yeah, this is...
Can't do redos.
Yeah. Take 2 and 3. Never Settle show is live Wednesdays at 7 Eastern on the Entrepreneur page. So live tomorrow night at 7, and then for the next 2 weeks after that, we have a 6-episode season 1, and then we're going to work on season 2. We wanted to take a little bit of time season 1, get out all the kinks, figure out exactly what the show should look like, and every show is slightly different for exactly that reason. So we got a couple more of those. Some other shows we do, you could watch Bold TV every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. We've got Roker Labs Live, where we have conversations like this. On Thursdays, we've been a little busy lately, so we kind of broke our consistency rule a little bit there. And we've got a lot more content coming down the pipe. So if you follow Roker Media, Roker Labs on Twitter, that's a great way to know what we have coming up. And if you want to talk more about this with me personally, at Ben Makes TV on Twitter. And I am addicted to Twitter, so talk to me, please.
Spoken like a real professional over here. This is not your first rodeo.
I know.
It is my first NAB, though. I'm really excited to be here. I was at the NAB New York, which is adorable now that I've seen
it's
this.
It's a mini version.
I mean, this is absolutely
so
insane.
Fun.
My favorite. I'm trying to get as many of the giveaway pens as possible. There's
and
giveaways at all of these
it's
booths
all
and
about
stickers. Stickers, yeah. But my goal is 100 pens. I'm at about 50 now. So if any of you booths are watching right now, and I'm sure you are, get me pens.
Tweet
him,
and he'll come by for the pens. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Let's just do a wrap, and I'll sign off. And I'm Kyle Lamont, your host of BeTerrific.com live stream event here. Thanks to LiveView. We're at NAB. We are going to be doing coverage for the rest of the day and for the next 2 days. Please stay tuned. We're going to be wandering around the conference, checking out all sorts of cool booths. So keep it locked here on BeTerrific.com, and we'll see you soon.